Tell me, what are you defined by? Your parents? Your history? Your culture? Maybe all of the above. In that case, tell me this. If I were to take all of those away from you, who would you even be? What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here from doing to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And I have 15 minutes to give you my thoughts on Maru's existence, kind of, sort of, but not necessarily the whole character. Very specifically, Maru's state as a being seemingly trapped by things that are beyond him, yet are him. And if you think I've gotten esoteric and weird before, you haven't seen nothing yet. But I only got 15 minutes, so let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. If it would work. Yeah. So, Maru is a very interesting character to me. And he brings up a very complicated question that I have always wondered myself. By the nature of, being a being in our wonderful, amazing world. And that's, who am I, really? Right? Because I would say, generally, I'm a collective, right? Naturally, I am literally my physical form, but I am my physical form, which is created by my parents, which was created by my grandparents, and then I am the being that was raised by said parents and grandparents and other parts of my family, yet also I am molded by the world and society around me, and on top of that, I am molded by the people I've met within that society, and naturally I'm also heavily molded by my culture, which is born of two separate people that mix together to create me. And I always go back to the idea, to the question of, okay, but then who am I? Like, I, the individual, if you were to strip all those things away from me, would I even be me? And notably, I don't have an answer to that. Like, I think the answer is just no. Like, every time I've reflected on it, I've always been like, well, I guess if you do strip away everything that defines me, I'm undefined. And when you're undefined, you can't be defined. So, when Maru first appeared, and was this very, happy-go-lucky, nice, chill, pretty funny kind of guy. A real cool kid, if you will, a real cool kid. I was very interested to see this, in particular. His anger, specifically at Dabura, not necessarily even for slaughtering Dura, but very specifically, you held back, didn't you? You didn't fight with your full power, and you call yourself a warrior. How dare you disrespect Dura? It is this interesting instance where Maru's love for Dura is wrapped up very heavily in the nature and the respect and the existence of being a warrior and all that is. And it's interesting because Maru's clearly not just defined by his warriorhood, he's still a person far beyond that. Yet at the same time, it seems when you do strip everything away, when you remove Maru to nothing more than a bundle of instincts and reactions, it is what Maru is. A manifestation of power, possibly chaos incarnate, a warrior in purest form, doing everything solely for the sake of victory, for something greater, something beyond himself. And of course, this was an unconscious Maru, a Maru who was put in a position where he had no real choice in the matter but to move forward in this way because of the nature of the circumstances he was put under. But then we get a different Maru. A Maru clearly defined and conscious by the nature of who and what he is. But yet, further still, he fights for something bigger, something greater, something beyond him. Of course, he goes to fight Tsurugi for his brother, but even further still, he fights Tsurugi for something greater, right? For the conflict of the nature of Samurians and Remelians. That's what he fights Tsurugi for. Once again, beyond Maru. And we see, ultimately, when Maru is pushed to that brink again, when he attempts to reach Tsurugi on this grounds to explain that ultimately he can't leave, he can't take his people away, he can't dare do what Tsurugi requests, because that would essentially be consigning his people to either death or destruction. He is left incomplete, left unable to define himself against Tsurugi. Tsurugi, who in this moment has a more firm ideal of who he is and what he must do, treats Maru as he sees him, an enemy to be overcome. And the second we see Maru's seeming true question mark self, the one who cares for others, who wishes to connect, who isn't necessarily entrapped and chained and constrained by all the external factors weighing him down, this occurs. I don't want anyone else to get hurt or die. And you call yourself a warrior. Will you really insult Tsurugi like that? Maru is steeped deeply in his culture and what it means to be a warrior. And in many ways, I think a lot of us are steeped deeply in our culture. And while not all of us are warriors, naturally, I think we all have certain things that we define ourselves by. And the question of Maru, at least to me, in this specific struggle of his, kind of disregarding the broader narrative themes of connection for a second, I think it becomes a question of, is that okay? Is that what we should do? Is that what we must do in order to give ourselves a definition firm enough to stand against those who would challenge it? Because we see, the very second that Maru begins to truly embrace this contest as a true warrior should, not disrespecting Tsurugi by holding back, truly going all out, quote unquote, he begins to dominate Tsurugi. Absolutely and truly. It becomes a match that was at least once close, that goes absolutely against everything that once stood there. Of course, Cross isn't able to completely overwhelm, not Cross, gosh darn, Maru isn't able to completely overwhelm Tsurugi, but by embracing this warrior side of himself, he's able to win, quote unquote, overwhelm Tsurugi, defeat him, absolutely. And yet, this true self once again rears its head. It's obvious that Maru does not truly wish to do this. While his third eye is open wide and bright, focused on this battle, he himself is wincing at the idea that he would have to do this to someone he considered a friend. And this once again goes to the question I asked, right? Well, what's the real you? Is it the you that has wants and desires and needs, or is it the you that you define by something else? And seemingly, I think Maru's answer is kinda both. Notably, there is a clear example of Maru respecting Tsurugi, yet still clearly not going all out. As we see once Tsurugimoto awakens, and Maru is faced with this endless possibility, not only is he able to react in time to flat out block Tsurugimoto despite nearly getting blitzed, we see he has further yet strength that he has yet to tap into that he now goes forward with. Even still, he was holding back. Even still, he was disrespecting Tsurugi. Even still, he was not going all out. But now, to truly meet Tsurugi in contest, as he is now fused with the remnants of Rika Orimoto's will and the cursed energy of Yuta Kotsu, he's leveled up. He's gone even further beyond, because now he's in a position where he stands on the same level as Tsurugi, even though they went into this very battle on the same position, fighting for things beyond their station, fighting for things as sorcerer and as warrior. So what does it mean? Is the shackles of Maru's culture entirely a bad thing? Is it something that he should fully abandon? I think the answer is very clearly no. But at the same time, I think the answer isn't entirely that he should stick to it either. I think this battle, especially between Tsurugi and Maru, as much as also the other battle going on right now, currently deciding the fate of humanity and the Sumerians, is a battle that necessarily shouldn't really be lost and or won by the two participants in the battle. I think ultimately, no matter who wins, they are sort of locking in and proving the theses of their respective darker parts of their own cultures, right? Because, let's say Maru wins. He defeats Tsurugi as a warrior, possibly even takes his life. What does that mean for him? that connection was never possible, that all that time spent was worthless, that ultimately all he could do was resort back to his base position and allow himself to be defined by that and nothing else rather than the human connection he had for Tsurugi? No, I don't think so. And then what would Maru's loss mean for him as a character and the embrace of his culture? What, that his culture simply wasn't strong enough for him to overcome it, no matter how deep he dove into it? That ultimately it was his position as an inferior other person to lose to this person with a stronger cultural ideal and identity and purpose as a sorcerer in comparison to a warrior? No, I also don't think that would be good for Tsurugi, and it wouldn't really be good for Maru's narrative either. So this battle is one that I don't think can really have a victor if we're to look at what Maru's endgame character and narrative purpose is. And very akin to Dabura, very akin to Yuka, very akin to Cross, and very akin to Tsurugi, I think that Maru's end purpose here, the end of this battle, must come from at best a draw, a neutrality, a reach of understanding between these two, now that they have met each other truly where they stand as their quote-unquote full selves. Ultimately, the idea of disrespect coming from not taking your opponent seriously as a warrior is still a part of Maru, and I don't think he should abandon his culture or abandon one of the ways he defines himself. I think ultimately, by trying to strip away what defines you, you lose that very same piece of you. And I don't think Modulo is going in that kind of direction where sacrificing pieces of yourself is the answer. But I do think, especially with his parallel in Tsurugi, and of course his current opponent in Tsurugi, I think what Maru now needs to do is reassign himself, reevaluate where he stands within his culture, redo who Maru is. There is the constant idea that ultimately we should never really stop changing. Once you stop changing, you're dead. Because you're no longer evolving, reflecting, developing. And I think if Maru is going to have any development, especially in regards to the nature of how he views himself, how he defines himself, and how he is limited and entrapped by the nature of his culture as a warrior, the nature of his position as a protector of his people, the nature of his position as a friend, I think he needs to almost take a step back, reflect on all that he is, and go on to form a new collective definition. Because, personally, being entirely honest with you, I don't think a person without a society, without people to define themselves by, family or otherwise, without a culture to steep themselves in, I think they're going to struggle to be a person. And I don't think Gege is going to go down the route of completely stripping Maru of everything just because aspects of who he is unhealthy. I think what Maru needs is to understand which aspects of him are unhealthy and work to remedy them. Work to work around them. Work to reintegrate them into a point where he can truly be alongside that very friend he does not want to slay. To live on this planet that he brought his people to in order to save them. To exist as a being who is technically enchained and trapped by the nature of who they are as a warrior, but rather than being limited to by these shackles unwillingly, by the very nature of who he is in a sort of transcendent, separate from oneself sense, I think what Maru needs is to, it's going to sound so strange, but willingly create his own chains. Willingly put himself in his own position. I think what Maru truly needs is to redefine and self-define. In a very similar way to many characters in Jujutsu Kaisen, the original narrative. Maki is a character heavily about self-definition and self-identity. Gojo is a character heavily about self-definition and self-identity. Itadori Yuji is a character heavily about self-definition and self-identity and how that means for not just him, but the world around him. Ryomen Sukuna, I can go down the line of every character in JJK that is about self-identity, and I think Maru is no different. But he is different in the sense that he truly comes from a world beyond us, yet not so different than us. So Maru's ultimate goal, his ultimate character resolution point, should be not being consumed by the ideas of being a warrior, not being so concerned and easily overwhelmed by those base instincts formed by the culture and history that surrounds him. Rather, I think Maru's goal should be to figure out who Maru is. The good, the bad, what he can control, what he can't control, and what he can do to help further the understanding between the two people he seeks to unite. Because once he fully better understands himself, I think he can begin the steps to work to truly better understand everyone else around him. But, of course, that's my perception. And I may be absolutely wrong about Maru and his overall story. And notably, I didn't really touch too much on how this all plays into the overarching themes of Modulo, as Maru is simply one of 4 major characters, arguably 5. But, in the end, I do only have 15 minutes, and with that, I'm out of time. So, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave mirror to oneself. Let's do that. Let's get real fancy. Leave mirror to oneself in the comment section down below. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that link to notifications bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also even have a Patreon below where you support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reactions, or the series I have to review, ad reactions of all my videos, and if you become a $12 Patreon or $12 member, you can order whatever video you want. Also a link to my Ko-Fi series down below. You can drop 5 minutes to a short video, 20 minutes long video, or any views at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Also link to my Twitch, Iwichi, in the description down below. We stream every Friday, 8 p.m. EST over there. We have wonderful times. We yap, we chat about literally anything and everything. So don't be afraid to drop a follow. It is also linked up here in the card, so you can go check it out there. But now I want to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our sketch tier members: Eternal Flame, Red Wolf 4765, Astro, Glacier XZ, Zera, J2MA, Guillaume, Pura Ura, Enzo, Yuki Ally, Grim, Ollie, The Boy, Corey Watson, Damon Brown, Magic, CCC, Romano Furen, Dino, Hector Gonzalez, Tim Thomas, Kaving, Julian Perez, RXN, Nevis97, Logan Guzman, Dead Meme, Karu Deer, Christian Carter, Keon Stewart, Donovan McIntosh, Sino King, Hamza Idrisi, BNA DNA, Edwin Igbinoba, Straw, Athenzi Shear, Antavius Mitchell, Azo2404, Superflame Zero, Weary Exile, Window Life, Alex Kenny, Victor Jacobs, Todd, Dre, Axis XC, The Practical One, Aswin Hedi Presetia, JMD KD, Devi Pesiet, Landon Clapwick, Heath Nelson, CAET, Funny Dude, Jagoda, Plant Crone, Striker Man, Brandon Payne, Black Sage, and Multi-Batman Superman. Then I'll leave a thank you to Artline Art Tier patrons: A+A, Kevin Encarnacion, Sean, Dread Zoen, Midnight Lord 21, CJ, and Karina Hernandez. Then I'd like to give a thank you to our Inc. tier members: King RTX, Shrimpo the 4th Shrimp 06, and Zom. Then I'd like to give a thank you to our digital art tier members: J Warrior and AZ Void. And I'd like to give a final thank you to our colored art tier patrons: Walking Munoz and Walking Munoz.